to by a mortal!
Many of us have a core memory of Xena, the warrior princess from our childhood. In this video, we'll talk about one of her enemies, Athena, the Olympic goddess of wisdom, warfare, and weaving, who is a recurring character in the Xenaverse series. We'll discuss her appearances in Xena Warrior Princess and Young Hercules. After that, her divine powers and physical abilities in the Xenaverse. Let's get to it, but before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Backstory of Athena. Athena seemed to be more understanding of humans. She cared for them much more than the other gods, making her beloved by humanity. As the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and weaving, she was venerated much more often than the other gods. This is probably why Athena didn't interact much with half-gods such as Xena. She was never a perceived threat to humanity, and her worshippers were usually the paragons of society.
Aries. Guys, can we have a little privacy?
The trial of Aries. Unbeknownst to Aries, his allies, Strife and Discord, hatch a plan to attack young Hercules and frame Aries for the crime. Under the orders of Zeus' protection, Aries would have to be imprisoned in the depths of Tartarus for an eternity for attempting to murder his half-brother Hercules. After the attack, young Hercules and Aries are summoned to Mount Olympus. Aries faces a trial for a crime he did not commit. The tribunal was composed of Apollo, Hephaestus, and led by Athena. While Athena's hatred for Aries is relatively straightforward, she offers fair treatment for both parties involved. Ironically, young Hercules was the chosen defendant for Aries. He brought forth strife and discord. It's quickly revealed that the duo conspired against an innocent Aries, causing Athena to grant him freedom and accept his request to punish his allies personally. It was worth noting that this was Athena's only appearance in the series Young Hercules, but Hercules already seems to have met her before.
If you're Aphrodite, you must be
Athena.
The beauty contest. After stating his absolutely ridiculous opinion about how surfing would never catch on, Hercules and his friends, Iolaus, part ways for a short while. Afterward, Hercules is off to visit King Sidon in Syros. Iolaus decides to go fishing. Iolaus catches an oyster shell while fishing. To his surprise, the goddess Aphrodite appears out of it. She summons her sisters Artemis and Athena. Together, they demand the poor guy to be the judge of their ongoing beauty contest. The contestants are not allowed to talk to Iolaus to preserve some integrity. That soon goes out of the water when Artemis meets him later during his exercise and offers him a deal. If Iolaus chooses her, she would make him the mightiest warrior ever to live. Later, Athena makes her presence known, offering him a similar deal to turn him into the wisest person ever. Now totally biased, Iolaus returns with his verdict, only to betray the other two and choose Aphrodite when she offers him a golden apple that would make any mortal fall in love with him. Two people touching it would become soulmates forever. Iolaus immediately takes his special apple for a test drive. Near the beach, he chooses a bride-to-be, Princess Thera. That decision caused a significant conflict, as her marriage was a peace offering between a kingdom of Artemis worshippers and the other worshipping Athena. Hercules tries to resolve the conflict by stating it has become a fight amongst gods now. Later, Aphrodite explains her plot to cause the conflict, forcing Hercules to use the apple between the warring kings. They touch it, becoming the best of friends.
Oh no, that ain't nice.
Athena Ascends, the divine conquest of Olympus. Let's discuss Athena's first appearance in Xena Warrior Princess, and her first confrontation with Xena, considered one of the best episodes of the series. This is the one in which Gabrielle comes up with an idea for the wristwatch. Jokes aside, let's dive into the critical events. Succeeding Zeus after his death at the hands of Hercules, Athena reigns over Olympus. As one of her first acts, she decides to eliminate Xena's child, Eve. She believes in a prophecy that states if allowed to live, Xena's child would bring about the twilight of the gods. Gathering a great army, she besieges Amphipolis. Xena encounters Athena's lead warrior with her warriors and manages to repel them for the time being. As she wonders why anyone would attempt to block the roads to Amphipolis, Ares appears to her with news, informing her of Athena's plans. The warrior woman is none other than Elenis, Athena's chosen champion. Xena heads back to the town with Gabrielle and rallies the townspeople to protect Eve while they prepare for defense. Athena soon arrives into the ensuing battle, which included Greek Greek fires in the tunnels, the collapsing of said tunnels, and the diverting of Greek fires onto the battlefield. Gabrielle makes it clear they're losing the conflict, suggesting Xena escape with her child, but Xena refuses to leave Amphipolis unprotected, and soon enough, Athena appears solely to Xena. She asks Athena the reason for the battle, as out of all the Olympians, Athena is the most respected by her. Xena proposes a one-on-one duel, but Athena refuses. She disappears, not before stating she's poisoned the water. Xena has no choice but to call upon the help of Aries, who had previously offered to help Xena if she gave him a son. Gabrielle talks to Aries later, offering herself in place of Xena. Hearing this, Aries believes Xena's promise is genuine, and meets Athena to reason with her. Aries offers to take away Xena with her child, saying that the gods' twilight was of their own doing. By leaving Xena's child alone, Athena would nullify the prophecy, but Athena refuses to compromise on her decision, and this leads to Xena sleeping with Aries for their deal. Unfortunately for Aries, they get interrupted in the middle of business when Gabrielle's forces launch another attack against Athena. Offering her child only as a distraction, Xena buys some time for Aries to fight Athena, while she makes short work of Elenus. Athena quickly departs with the body of her favorite warrior Elenus, and their war ends for now. The next time Athena shows up is a rough one for Xena. Let's talk about the most pivotal moments in the series. This is a 25-year leap forward in the show, and it narrates the events in a flashback. Athena, along with Hades, are pursuing Xena and Gabrielle. The heroines barely manage to survive the altercation. While taking shelter, they planned on visiting the Fates, but the Fates themselves delivered a prophecy to her. The twilight of the gods will only be set in motion in the essence of death, which would be Eve's salvation. Realizing she might have to sacrifice herself to save her child, Xena readies herself for the worst. Gabrielle outright dismisses the decree. Very healthy. After all, you can't be hurt by what you deny. Coping mechanisms aside, Athena, in the presence of Hades, talks to the personification of death, Celesta, to ensure their survival while taking out Xena and Eve. Unfortunately for them, Celesta can only take mortals when they're fated to die, no sooner. Meanwhile, Xena confronts Hephaestus for her plan. They need his chains for their next move, which comes much quicker than anticipated. They use it to immobilize the goddess Celesta and kidnap her. Athena talks to Ares at Mount Olympus, trying to remind him of his past choices, but he refuses to participate in her campaign. They both knew Ellie's death had only angered the people toward the gods. Hades and Hephaestus later informed them of Celesta's abduction by Xena. Xena and Celeste have a conversation at their campsite, while Celesta gets closer to her own death. Xena talks about her pain from losing her loved ones, resulting in Celesta crying as well. Her plan works out well, letting her collect the goddess' tears. Meanwhile, the gods, unable to kill any mortal without Celesta, use Athena's archers to interrogate Jokser, an ally of Xena. Gabrielle tries to save Jokser but is captured as well. She's then coerced to give out the information the gods desperately need. Athena gains a powerful bargaining chip, requesting an exchange of Celesta for Gabrielle, and Xena has no choice but to accept. The gods allow them to leave peacefully, but send the archers after them. Xena is offered help by Ares beforehand, but she refuses his advance. This is where the flashback ends. The second flashback continues the story. Athena, Hades, and Hephaestus all launch their weaponry upon Xena, causing her wagon to disintegrate quite explosively down a cliff into a beach below. Having lost her best friend Gabrielle, Xena tries to kill herself in grief, but Ares stops her in the nick of time. Xena, being Xena, defies him, drinking a small vial of poison after announcing her imminent death to the gods, and collapses soon after. Ares comes after her with tears in his eyes, taking the two bodies with him. In the present, we learn it was all a plot by Xena and Gabrielle. They had used Celesta's tears to appear dead, technically fulfilling the Fates' prophecy. Xena had read between the lines and realized that Celesta's tears represented the essence of death, precisely what the Fates had discussed in their prophecy. The only unexpected things were Ares' grief and his love for Athena. Ares had carried Xena to an icy cavern, where he decided to entomb his dead love. He made one last speech, professing his affection for her, as well as sealing the coffin, after concluding his love with a kiss. Xena's chakram marks their tombs. The Fate of Athena, Xena versus Athena. This is where the fun begins. The story continues after Xena's 25-year sleep. Eve has grown. Athena has enjoyed 2.5 decades on the throne. It's one of my personal favorites, and honestly, it's the kind of episode that makes the whole series worth watching. Let's talk about how Xena went into full Kratos mode some 5 years before the game God of War came out. Having done something unforgivable, Eve is distraught with grief, running through a desert, chased by Xena and Gabrielle. Even though Gabrielle doesn't think Eve is redeemable, redeemable, she agrees to help her friend Xena reform her. Aries tells the gods about who Livia really is, and the gods decide to invoke the Furies for assistance. Aries considers this a bad idea since he has already tried it once, but Athena has a subtler plan in mind. Following Athena's wishes, the Furies begin to plague Gabrielle's mind and corrupt her. Xena finds a way to reform Eve, coming across as one of Ellie's followers, who suggests taking her to the Baptist. As Eve is baptized and turns toward the way of love, Xena is visited by a spirit sent by the Archangel Michael, who wants to grant her the power to slay the gods themselves. Not soon after, Discord, Deimos, Hephaestus, Hades, Poseidon, and Artemis appear, and battle erupts. The skirmish ends with Xena ending Poseidon, Discord, and Hephaestus. Aries, with Athena, very quickly arrives on Earth, discovering Xena's newly found god-slaying powers that have already destroyed 3 gods. That enables Xena to intimidate the rest of the gods into giving up the pursuit of Eve, albeit temporarily. Athena is greatly angered by the other gods' subversion and ruining her plan, but remains composed as the Furies are still in action. While on the run, Xena explains her newfound powers to Gabrielle and Eve. Xena has been granted her god-slaying powers as long as Eve lives. Archangel Michael has also told her that Eve would become the messenger to prepare the realm, paving the way for the god of love. Xena then tells Eve to begin atonement for her sins by meeting those she had wronged and accepting their judgment. Later that night, when they rest in a tavern sheltering from the thunderstorm, Aries confronts Xena in the rain. The confrontation works out in the Furies' favor, who finally turn Gabrielle and convince her to kill Eve. Aries' rambling works to distract Xena for a while, but sensing something off, she makes it back to the tavern just in time to stop Gabrielle's attack by throwing her chakram. The attack effectively takes Gabrielle out and into a coma. Xena figures out that the Furies are responsible for the attack. Afterwards, she tends to Gabrielle and her daughter. Not for long, however, as Athena finally arrives with Artemis, Hades, Deimos, and ruins the place. A fight ensues, which results in Xena breathing fire upon Hades, crushing Deimos by reflecting his energy orb at a platform and making it fall over him. She makes pulling an arrow out of her thigh shot by Artemis look pretty effortless. Enraged and mourning, Athena leaves quickly. Ares follows when Xena foils his attack on Eve. Out of empathy, Aphrodite appears to Xena to explain that the gods could keep their immortality only through Athena's healing powers, which is basically impossible at this juncture. Xena promises to her dying daughter that she will save her at any cost. She convinces Aphrodite to take them all to Olympus, where the final showdown begins. Arriving somewhat late, Ares offers a deal to heal Gabrielle and turn Xena immortal at the cost of Eve's life, but Xena promptly refuses. Xena then uses the chains of Hephaestus to restrain Ares, using him as bait for Athena. She offers a deal to Athena. If Athena heals Gabrielle and Eve, she will leave the gods alone. Athena readies herself to kill them all, rejecting the offer. Artemis remains hidden, but not for long, as she shoots an arrow which Xena uses against her to end the fight rather quickly. A long, drawn-out battle between Athena and Xena only serves to weaken Xena further, as she loses her power while Eve is closer to dying. Unsuccessful in killing Athena, she accepts her fate, but in a turn of events, Ares chooses to save Eve and Gabrielle, turning the tides against an unsuspecting Athena. Xena finally draws blood from Athena, ending her as well as her reign over Olympus. Ares has given up his immortality to save Eve and Gabrielle out of his love for Xena, but Xena simply thanks him before leaving Olympus. Athena's Dominion, the powers of wisdom, and Olympus commander. Wow, that was quite the story arc, wasn't it? Athena proved to be a formidable villain for Xena. She had to use the very best of her abilities, as well as the help of the gods to go toe-to-toe against her. Let's talk about some of Athena's most extraordinary powers. While wisdom and warfare are the primary domains of Athena, she seems relatively reserved about using her divine powers. She instead uses her combat prowess to do much of the talking. While she has the usual Xenaverse god powers of teleportation, invisibility, strength, and immortality, I'll talk about some of her unique abilities instead. Athena possesses the gift of clairvoyance, albeit limited. She seems to know about the tunnels underneath Amphipolis just by looking at a town model. She has the power to grant immortality to others and to change the age of anyone as she wishes. One of her most iconic powers is healing, which she seems to have acquired after the death of Zeus and Hera. None of the Olympian gods could use it without her blessing, although she cannot recover someone from a mortal wound. Athena can likely control all the elements, but seems to prefer fire. She uses it multiple times, notably to channel the fire into her blade and sometimes using fire blasts. Lastly, her physical abilities include excellent combat discipline, prowess, leadership skills, and strategy. Throughout her appearances, she's shown to use these abilities extensively, preferring them to her divine abilities. Marvelous verdict. Athena was a well-crafted, well-acted character, even when her appearance as well as her outfits were quite different in young Hercules, Hercules the Legendary Journeys, and Xena Warrior Princess. This only served to portray Athena in various aspects. I was too young to appreciate the show when I was younger, but I'm glad I watched it again. Athena was my favorite villain in the series. I wish she had more appearances like Aries, considering her importance in Greek mythology, but the few episodes she was physically in are still considered some of the best from the show. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.